Hello and welcome to yet another Warcraft 3 commentary cast sting. That's what this is, a thing. That's right. Alright, this is Game 4. I know it's taken me a little while to get Game 4 up, and Game 5. I've been having a lot of technical issues. I switched software, and this is like the third time I've had to record this game, actually. But hopefully everything will work out this time. It seems like it will. Audio quality should be much improved. Maybe video quality has improved as well, but you probably won't notice it as much. There was a slight stutter in the other videos. It should mostly be taken care of now. Switch software from Fraps to a software called DxTory. But yeah, so let's get into the game. We have Lucifer spawning as the gray undead in the bottom left corner, and we have Thu spawning as the purple human in the top right corner. We do see a pretty standard Archmage barracks build, which means Archmage footman build, very standard human play. We do see the Scout Acolyte coming out on the map already. It's coming up there. Very standard again for undead. However, we do see a Lich first for Lucifer. That is not a DK, that is a Lich. He has been playing the strategy occasionally against humans. And on this map, this is a good map for it, I think. As we'll see, it's a very powerful build. It's a little bit different from going DK first against human in the sense that, you know, you don't have to harass the human in the early game as much to really be okay. You can just creep a bit. And in fact, creeping is not a bad thing with Lich first, because you always get the Novas and the Dark Rituals, which pretty much are very staple and perhaps very key entirely against a human early game army, because it pretty much just decimates footmen and militia, and that's basically all that the human has for quite some time. So it's a very good strategy to go with. Here we do see a footman chasing this Scout Acolyte, and we see the footman that says, hey, you know, I can harass your acolytes if I so please. And again, this is the Lich going around and creeping. A relatively standard goal build that we were seeing here in the Nubian Tower, coming up just slightly late, but I don't think that footman's going to be able to pick anything off because of the fact that that Nubian Tower is almost finished. Slight amount of harass going on, although I don't really know who would be considered to be harassing who in this particular situation, as we do see that, of course, the Archmage runs around. But it was a little bit odd, because normally you do see just the Archmage power creeping, but on this map there's a lot of chances for jacking, so it's a little bit about, we're seeing a lot of sneaky play rather than perhaps straight up engagement play, which is something that humans like to do when they're going to be harassed. So maybe Lucifer is looking to harass his opponent here. I'm not sure. We do see what appears to be Thu gearing up to creep out this gold mine, and if we look at his base, he is actually bringing militia down there to creep that out, so he might be putting up an expansion right there. I believe he will, actually. This is absolutely an expansion-oriented build that he's got going on over here. And we see Lucifer over here just throwing down. He's making an extra Acolyte for some reason or another. I don't know why. He's got plenty of goals. You might want to go ahead and see any number of things. You might want to. He's going to go ahead and start teching. So he is creeping over here. He's basically creeping out his opponent's side of the map. He knows that this is about the time that Thu should be expanding, so he comes up here to scout and perhaps jack, but he sees that nothing is actually going on. He has a skeleton coming over here, and this is going to be revealing, because it's going to tell him, hey, look, he's missing a bunch of peasants, you know, so obviously they went to militia, as well as the fact that Thu now just ran into Lucifer's base. So he's actually going to go ahead and teleport back to his base. Basically, at this point, Lucifer can probably tell that something is going on right here. And we do see an Acolyte dying. However, not a big deal, because Lucifer, for whatever reason, actually created a Acolyte slightly before he teched, so he still has 5 Acolytes. I believe that means he's gone up to, his total count would be 7 Acolytes so far. I believe the Scout Acolyte did die somewhere in this area early on, so I think that's a good idea to have that extra Acolyte when you play with a Lich, because of course you cannot coil. And it looks like Thu is coming down here very close to where Lucifer is creeping, and if he chooses to go this way, and he actually is going to come ahead and he's going to see that Lucifer is creeping this, and he may decide to jack him right here. Who is going to get the boots of speed an item that both of them vitally want, and it looks like the Lich is going to be able to pick that up first, and he does indeed get the Boots of Speed first. A Scroll of Beast has dropped, but the Lich is taking quite a bit of damage. He's being forced to run away from it, so it looks like Thu is able to item jack Lucifer right here. Nova going off on the Footman, a little bit of damage, quite a bit of damage. It looks like a Footman is going to go down, and it's very close, and a Footman might live, but no, it looks like the Footman goes down. So is that other Footman, it's not going to be chased. Lucifer is going to say, okay, I'm going to come back over here. He's focusing down that Water Elemental for a little bit of extra XP. As you can see, he goes from 395 to 437 XP, so it's quite a bit of experience. I think it's like 42 experience for every Water Elemental you kill, and that might go up, I think, maybe by 20 XP per level or something. I don't really remember, and it might not, but either way, you see Town Hall going up. I also noticed that there's 2 Arcane Towers right here. This is good because against a Lich first, and actually he just used a little item healing salve thing that just got cancelled by a Footman, so that's not good. But he did get a little bit of it off, not as much as you probably would have hoped. Ghouls running back, taking a little bit of damage. Footman running back, taking a little bit of damage. Nothing dying just yet. None of the units have dropped here in this fight. Both players doing an excellent job of just keeping them alive. And a Footman getting Nova'd, and it's going to go down. That gives the Lich level 3, which means Lucifer is currently sitting at the experience advantage, and he's using Dark Rituals effectively on those skeletons to keep mana up so that he'll be able to keep on using those Novas, which of course are going to be capable really of dominating in the early game against this the early game human army. And again, with those 2 Arcane Towers, that's all about burning the Lich's mana and killing skeletons. And you kill skeletons, it's double benefit, because if you kill skeletons, then the Lich has less things to Dark Ritual. And of course the Nova is quite deadly, and we see 2 Footmen actually being ensnared, 1 Ghoul running away, very narrowly getting away with 26 life, being attacked by the Archmage. A Ghoul running away, but he did not quite get away in time. He died, giving the Archmage level 3. So who came out on top in that fight, I don't know, but I do know that the Lich is halfway through, or at least almost halfway through level 3, and the Archmage just has hit level 3, so Lucifer is in a pretty good spot right now. We do see a little bit of what appears to be some sort of tower creeping over here on this orange Merc camp right here, 4 through with the towers. Pretty effective, actually. So yeah, over here we do see Lucifer creeping out his camps. I do believe actually this is going to give Thu the experience advantage as long as none of those towers get the last hit. If a tower gets the last hit on a kill, then you do not receive experience for it, so he's got to be a little bit careful of that. It's not too terribly hard because these Arcane Towers actually don't hit that hard, but just something that you don't want to leave to chance, especially if you're a good player and your everything is riding on it. And in this game, everything is riding on it, because again, this is game 4, and Lucifer only needs 1 more victory to win, and Thu needs to win 2 more games to win. So very, very a lot riding on this game for Thu here, and for Lucifer, of course. So we do see that the one downside of going Lich first is that here at tier 2, your Death Knight is not anywhere near level 3, and level 3 Death Knight is of course very effective for hero killing. However, instead of going for a hero killing dynamic with the Lich first, you do kind of have a unit killing dynamic, which is quite nice. And we do see these ghouls just kind of running back a little bit. I think one of the ghouls did go down. We see several peasants and footmen dying as well, which is pretty much the power of the Lich in the early game. And this might be crept out right here by Lucifer. Again, any kind of experience you can get is always vital. And you can see how close he is to level 4, which would of course be pretty good for him to get. So I'm sure he's trying for that. And Thu is saying, okay, well, I'm going to take this as well. And this is probably just to try to keep that Death Knight from getting experience, because if he gets level 2, that's a pretty big deal. Getting the aura is very, very important. And on top of that, the closer he is to level 3, the better, because he needs to have that level 2 of Death Coil. And as you can see, he's not even really worried about other things. He's just saying, I need to kill your units that give me the most experience. And of course, Water Elementals give more experience than Footmen. I'm almost positive of that. And so that would be why you would go for the Water Elementals instead of the Footmen over there. And he did get both of them, so that was good for him. We do have a statue in play, and we do see a second slaughterhouse going down. And again, this is a tier 2 play centric strategy they're going to see from Lucifer. I think he might tech the tier 3 at some point in this game. In fact, I believe he does when he no longer needs to stick at tier 2. But again, as I've kind of touched on before in the other games, he wants to one of the goals that he definitely appears to have is to be able to do a lot of damage to this Expo and perhaps even kill it with his wagon push, which is what we're going to see right here. As you can see, there's 2 meat wagons coming out. That's basically the wagon push. We're also seeing the wagons getting an attack upgrade, which is very, very important and vital because, of course, the human has gone with masonry upgrades as well. And basically, the rough formula is 3 wagons at the same attack upgrade as whatever level of masonry the human has, you know, with a little bit of army support from the Lich and some Fiends, and you can take out an Expo. So that's pretty much the cheap way to do it. You can always go with a 4th wagon, but you know, you're talking 4 food for each one of these wagons, so it's kind of an expensive endeavor. So in general, you want to try to keep costs low for food and go with the attack upgrades. But yeah, of course, it also just depends on how many peasants are repairing, but that's kind of where a Lich comes in. You can just, you know, Nova them, pick them off, which is very important, incredibly useful for taking these things down. And as you can see, this is a pretty decent town hall expansion with the tower placement and the building of the placement of the farms and the blacksmith, as well as the trees. In all honesty, everything kind of works pretty well for Thu right here. And one of the things we'll see a couple times throughout the game is just that if we look at Thu's vision, it's not exactly the greatest at night to have the town hall vision for the meat wagon, so he's going to generally have to be in range of a tower. Not always, but in general, that's kind of what happens. And the peasants are pretty well protected as well from that, because you see these arcane towers and that arcane tower, which can do quite a bit of mana drainage if the Lich comes in to do a Nova on them. Of course, it's not a complete deterrent, but it's just kind of a sort of something to keep in mind for Lucifer as he goes ahead and moves in and out of that battlefield, working on taking down this town hall. And as you can see, we do have those 3 wagons out. Masonry upgrade to level 2 has completed slightly earlier than the level 2 upgrade for the undead, but even still, even at level just 1 with those 3 wagons, they were able to take it down with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 9 peasants repairing. So that's very good. The level 3 Death Knight has been bolted. It's taking quite a bit of focus fire, and he's actually going to have to run away from this fight. And there are 2 very low HP Fiends, which may very well end up getting both bolted and killed. As you can see, I believe it's going to happen. The Death Knight doesn't have enough mana to coil in either one of them unless he uses his Mana Stone, which he probably won't want to use because the Mana Stone provides a passive 25% regeneration if you can help it. So he didn't want to use it, but he went ahead and used it to save that Fiend. It's always better to go ahead and use it if you have to, but if you don't need to, then it's definitely nice to keep it. And a lot of focus going down on the Mountain King as well as the Death Knight, so very interesting. We do see the Ogre Mauler being slightly surrounded and then killed, so that's good. And again, as I've said, I don't know how many times, this matchup a lot about hero levels, and we do see Lucifer deciding to tech the tier 3 now that he's taken out this Expo, even though it's being rebuilt. I think that's just one of those things he's looking, saying, you know, I bought enough time now at tier 2, I've done enough damage, I'm going to go ahead and go to tech tier 3, and he's probably just kind of looking to etch out little advantages over time doing so. So as you can see, this is back to that position, back to just, you know, saying, okay, I got to keep on what I'm doing. And I think this wagon's actually going to run into tower range just a little bit, and hopefully it doesn't die, but it's taking quite a bit of damage and runs away, just barely getting out in the nick of time. And of course, Thu's army is hiding pretty well from Lucifer. Lucifer's looking for him over here, but Thu's actually been able to hide behind these trees and stay out of sight. Although he's probably visible now. And as you can see, just to make sure that the wagons have vision and such, we do see these ghouls just basically having to stay in certain ranges. And I guess actually they don't need to be within tower range, but they're very, very close to tower range, in fact. So even just a little bit of miss micro there could be quite unfortunate for a wagon. And a wagon does go down, getting killed by a water elemental, and the water elemental is probably going to dissipate before so he doesn't actually give experience, because if he just dissipates like that, if he runs out of time, then he doesn't actually give any experience to the undead, which is not something the undead wants. The undead wants as much experience as he can possibly get. And as you saw just a couple times in there, Lucifer ended up in tower range. I think just trying to maintain vision is what it looked like. Just trying to hold position in a good spot where he could see the town hall, and so he could attack it with his meat wagons. And at this point, he only has 2 meat wagons. He's actually doing a fair bit of damage. I'm not sure. I think he's actually going ahead and doing more damage than is being repaired, but I don't think it's a huge amount. Let's see. If we look at these numbers here, it'll tell us, right? 480. So let's see at the next thingy. Getting down to 380, so looks like he's doing about 100 damage per volley through the repair, and so that's not too terrible for Thu, because Thu can deal with that just by doing this right here, just walking over here, forcing the wagons back, and gives him time to repair. And we do see militia coming in actually, as well as breakers, and breakers are important because as soon as the human can start to get out breakers, their expansion becomes a whole lot safer. Because it's a whole lot easier to fight off the undead with breakers, because the undead cannot attack the breakers with nukes. They have to do it with auto attacks, and the bolt on the Death Knight, and the Death Knight's getting quite low. However, Meat Wagon moves into position to kind of block units from getting too close to the Death Knight, and the Mountain King taking quite a bit of damage as well, getting coiled down to 43 life, down to 30 life, and he bolted the Lich, who was the only thing that was auto attacking him within range other than that Fiend, and he ended up able to just run away. And that Water Elemental trying to suicide into that Meat Wagon, just not quite enough life left. The Mountain King getting away with 30 life. However, he also had an Invul Potion, but he didn't have to use it because that was a really good bolt on the Lich. So again, well done by both players. Just really intense right there. And we do see that, of course, Lucifer right back at that aggression. He's like, I gotta keep my aggression up, keeps on pushing. And at tier 3, it's very nice. He has access to Abominations as well as the Lich Orb, which is going to allow him to combat these Spellbreakers, because of course Abominations are only available at tier 3, and they do extra damage to Spellbreakers, and Spellbreakers don't really hurt Abominations all that much. So a very ideal situation for Lucifer to go ahead and grab some Abominations. And Spellbreakers, of course, are very good prior to Abominations. Against just like Fiends and Meat Wagons, Spellbreakers are pretty decent, unless you have like a whole bunch of Fiends. But even then, if you have equal food, Breakers aren't all that bad. Not really the greatest, but they're not bad for holding off these kind of pushes. And again, that's kind of the name of the game here for the human who just needs to buy time. He needs to buy as much time as he can. We see the Death Knight being what looks like it might be surrounded and taking quite a bit of damage, forced to TP out actually. And I think we saw a Breaker die, and we almost saw a second Breaker die, but he got away just with enough life because of the teleport scroll from the undead, forcing him back to his base. Level 3 Death Knight, level 5 Lich, level 4 Archmage, and level 3 Mountain King. So the hero levels are very, very close. However, of course, level 5 Lich is quite a bit more powerful than level 4 Lich, and that's the same for the Archmage as well. So I would definitely say that Lucifer is actually at an advantage right now from a hero level perspective. However, it looks like Thu is looking to make that up by creeping this red right here, and as well as throwing down quite a few towers and bringing some peasants over here. The Mountain King taking quite a bit of damage from that creep actually. However, he's not really in danger of dying to the creep alone. This Town Hall is probably going to go down again. If you notice, there are 3 Meat Wagons out again on the field, and again the Masonry is level 2 and this is level 2, and the Lich has been doing quite a bit of Novas to kill these peasants, which is giving quite a bit of experience. And again, a little bit of wagon in the tower range, just a little bit. Lucifer has not actually scouted over here just yet, so he may not know that's actually was what Thu just went to creep. However, I think it's plausible. I think it's safe to say that he knew that Thu went ahead and crept something. And if you looked at the Archmage's items, which is an Ankh of Reincarnation, which is an extremely good item against any kind of like hero focus based play, which is what we see here. And actually the Archmage going ahead and picking up his Staff of Teleportation, TPing back to his base, and it looks like one of the wagons actually just died to tower focus, and now we're seeing the Archmage chase down the remaining 2 wagons, and he's going to summon in a Water Elemental and let that chase instead this time. And I don't think he wants to get too terribly close to the undead base with his Archmage, who only has an Ankh of Resurrection and a staff that is on cooldown, so he could definitely be a very vulnerable target for that. Lucifer coming over here and counter creeping the red, so that's probably what he saw. He probably noticed that the Archmage had the Ankh. He said, okay, well, you know what, and actually I keep saying Ankh, I think it was actually the Legion Doomhorn that probably dropped from this. That might drop 2 items. I don't really know the loot tables too well on this map, to be completely honest, although I think Ankh is probably more of like from right here or something. But either way, we do see that the Khadgar's Pipe of Insight is dropped for the undead, picks it up on his Death Knight. Probably one of the best, if not the best item drop that an undead can get is the Khadgar's Pipe of Insight, because of course they are so very reliant on having a bunch of mana. Very nuke heavy hero synergy right here. Everything that they do really comes down to using mana. Novas use mana and coils use mana, and that is where your major damage comes from, really. So the Khadgar's Pipe of Insight, definitely an amazingly good drop for him. Of course, getting a Legion Doomhorn is also an incredibly good item for the human. It helps counteract the speed bonus that the undead has from his own built-in Unholy Aura. And in fact, at level 1, it's actually worse than the Doomhorn. And the Doomhorn gives, I believe, 15% movement speed and something like that for your regeneration, and the level 1 is just 10%. So the Legion Doomhorn, very effective item to have, even sometimes as an undead player. Usually though it's not, it's best just to sell it as an undead player, but definitely good against undead players. The Lich is taking quite a bit of damage. He's been basically surrounded. He was bolted. He's forced to TP out, doing quite a bit of focus damage to the Mountain King, but of course, as we saw, the Mountain King went ahead and popped it in Volt Pot, and he's fine. So, not the greatest position. Lucifer is not in the greatest position at this point in time, because as we can see, this is a town hall that's been rebuilt. This town hall is being built, and if we notice here, these gold mines, the main gold mines, are about to run out. So actually, Lucifer is definitely falling behind at this point, even though he's done pretty well into the game. He's killed this several times, and he's got some nice items, and he's got great hero levels, and he was at the hero level advantage for a while. I think he's starting to lose that advantage, although not too quickly, because it's 5-4 versus what I believe is 5-4, maybe? Maybe it is actually 5. Maybe it is equal at this point. Let me see if I can't find the Archmage on the map somewhere. Where are you? Oh, okay, no, that's a Paladin. Yeah, I don't know. There we go, Archmage 5. So actually, yeah, the heroes levels have evened out, and Thu is ahead economically. So this isn't looking too good for Lucifer right now. I feel like he really needs to send a scout over here and see something, maybe instead of focusing on this one, because this one will run out in about 3,000 gold, and this one of course will run out in about 12,000 gold. So it's definitely better, and this is probably a little bit easier to kill because those towers are quite in the front, and there's not really all that many peasants there. But we do see an engagement going down. Breaker's going ahead and killing one of those wagons. The Archmage coming back in the back. A little bit of a precarious position for the Archmage, because if he gets nuked right here, he doesn't have a whole lot of place to run. But there are a lot of breakers going ahead, running around, and the Death Knight gets bolted, and it looks like he's surrounded. He is surrounded, in fact, and he doesn't have any items right now to take care of this. The Paladin running away at very low life, and the Death Knight being passed in Volt Pot from the Lich taking quite a bit of focus fire, and the Lich being forced to TP out, and the Paladin again very, very, very low. He actually goes ahead and falls down to a Abomination auto swing, which is quite good, and so that level 2 attack upgrade may very well have just caused that Paladin to die. However, Lucifer is out of gold at this point. He has no gold left, and he's bringing in his acolytes to do another little push. Whereas we do see Thu is sitting fairly comfortably right now. He's actually filling up yet another town hall. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here. This could die again. There is still 2 meat wagons in play, and that is enough to take this out, even though these are only 2 attack upgrade and this is 3 level masonry. But there's really not that much that is going to be repairing this, because the Lich will just simply Nova whatever is trying to repair it. So it could definitely happen. We do see this engagement going off. The Death Knight immediately taking a bit of focus. The Spellbreaker right there running away, getting away with just a little bit of life. Doing pretty well with the micro there. Acolytes coming in to attack the Town Hall just to do a little bit of extra damage and perhaps tank those towers a little bit. And then they're running away. I'm not really sure. I don't know if they meant to go in there or not, but maybe it was a misclick. A little bit of Abomination micro, just having that go back a little bit to reset the targets from Thu. Yeah. And a Breaker going down. The Mountain King taking a ton of damage from Focus Fire. He gets an Invul Pot off at 56 HP. And those breakers are getting very low life breakers. Water Elemental going down. Lucifer picking up quite a bit of experience, almost level 6 on his Lich.
Town is under siege.
If he gets level 6 on his Lich, maybe we'll be able to pick off this expansion using Death and Decay right there, which would take out all of these towers as well as those towers and this Town Hall, and there would be no way to repair through that. And if he kills this with his wagons, he could actually be sitting pretty good. Even though he's not in the greatest position right now, he's not out of the game yet. He's very, very close to level 6. In fact, I don't think there's anything that Thu can do to stop that. As you can see, those peasants are dying, and this is going to go down, so Thu may be able to, Lucifer may very well be able to win this. It's very, very close. And as you can see over here, actually, Griffin Aviaries are going up from Thu, and that's not good for Lucifer. That does put Lucifer on a ticking time clock, because if a bunch of Griffins come out, basically, that's going to spell good game for Lucifer, because the Abominations have heavy armor, which takes extra damage from magic, and Griffins deal magic damage, as well as the fact that Lucifer only has 1 Crypt Fiend. So I don't even know if he has Web Research, but if he does, he only has 1 Crypt Fiend, and it'll die very quickly. So is really only going to be able to do a little bit of damage to those griffins. He's only going to be able to deal with like 1 or 2 at a time, and that's about it. So if a lot of griffins come out, you know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, I don't see how Lucifer could possibly deal with that with this composition. So again, he's on a ticking time clock here. This up here is not that big of a deal, and he actually has this here to just prevent and deny an expo. What's a big deal is this right here. If he kills out these right here with his level 6 ultimate on his Lich, if he can manage to get up just the 4 more experience that is required to level up, then he will be able to take out those Griffin Aviaries, and he'll be able to scalp this other gold mine, and he could win the game. So it's going to come down to that right there, I do believe. Is he going to be able to take this out with a Lich ultimate? And if he does, this is nothing because there's no Griffin Ivories up here, and he'll be able to take on this army. I think he can beat this army as long as, because his heroes are in a better position, and actually he does go ahead and hit level 6 on his Lich. So all he needs to do right now, the only threat is the Mountain King, and the Mountain King just came back out, it looks like. So if he can kill this Mountain King, it looks like the Mountain King's in a bad position right here. He may be able to run up there and kill the Mountain King. That's his goal, I believe. The Death Knight getting Bolt, taking a lot of focus fire. He immediately goes and uses Invulpot to get Lich just melting away under that focus fire from the nukes. And we do have 1 Griffin in play, so this is going to be interesting. And the Lich reviving and immediately taking another Coil Nova to the face and having to be forced out of the battle a little bit. The Lich chasing him away. Switching to the focus to the Mountain King. The Mountain King takes another Coil Nova and dies. Many of these breakers are getting very low, and this is very, very close. This is very, very close. That Griffin Rider does go down. Another breaker is going to die here. Lucifer is doing pretty well. Lucifer is probably, I don't know if I'd call him at the advantage here, but he is definitely in a position where he could win. He immediately begins to cast that ultimate right here where he needs to cast it. If he can kill these, then he will win. There's no Mountain King to stop him at this point, so he's got just fine, and he stopped the thing himself. I don't know. Maybe that was a misclick. I can't imagine that he actually wanted to stop that cast, because that cast was game breaking right there. I'm not sure what he was doing right there, but that's unfortunate for Lucifer. Now he has to hold out until that ultimate is up pretty much again, because he can't really assault this directly. He just doesn't really have what it's going to take, because if he starts to come into tower range here, Thu is just going to bring his army in and just kind of sandwich him right there, because those are A-bombs, or melee range, they have to come in. So Thu's army right here, as well as all these towers, and nowhere really to run except up, which is not that great of a position either. I don't know. The Archmage taking damage. If he can pick off this army, then he'll be able to do it, but he's fighting in tower range again, which is not that great. And we have 3 Griffin Riders out on play, so this is not looking good for Lucifer. As you can see, the Abominations are just melting underneath that focus fire. The Death Knight is getting relatively low, and the Paladin is level 2, but he isn't invul, so he can't actually die just yet, even though he's attacking until the Divine Shield wears off. And actually, the Death Knight goes down, and that's not good for Lucifer. He cannot remake the Death Knight. He's focusing down the Paladin if he can. He also lost the orb, which I believe was placed on the Death Knight to help with the Griffin Riders. And as you can see, the Paladin goes down, and Lucifer calls GG. So a very close game. Very close game. I can't help but feel like Lucifer made a misclick there with his Lich ultimate, and I think that I think that cost him the game, in all honesty. But you know, even if you had done that, would the win have been guaranteed? I can't say for sure. But either way, great game. So this is game 4, and I'll see you in the epic conclusion in game 5, hopefully. So just click the link. It'll be right up here where this mouse is, in a little annotation-y thingy. Or just, it'll also be in the playlist if you're in the playlist watching. So see you next time. Oops, that's not the key.